Do you have any time or to send some of our TAs to help you just do like maybe a sample? Are you on campus either
I'm not on
Thursday
campus. I can go Monday though, a little bit early and look at
or
some.
okay. So maybe if you could be so kind and send out
Yeah, I will.
to our other TAs and maybe Finley, are you on campus? What days are you on campus? Are you on campus Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, I don't have classes Friday, but I live on campus, so
Okay. Either day on Thursday or Friday, can you be so kind and go to the lab? You know where a lab is.
yeah.
And especially which computer should she look at, Daniel? You think?
Mm, The ones, if you're walking in through that main door, the ones all the way on the right, closest to the wall.
On the wall facing the windows?
Yeah, the computers, if you're sitting there, you're facing the windows.
You're facing the windows.
I
Yeah.
might have to go Thursday morning because I'm leaving for Dallas Thursday night. Wait.
Okay, so do it Thursday. Just go in and check those on the wall there and,
Okay.
and and boot up and try to go to responders. Make like some samples. And if there's issues with some of the responders, text Daniel, send him
Okay.
an email of which we're not working. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So that's part of your beginning duties, you know, Finley. Okay. So we're gonna, and then you can ask Daniel, of course, you can ask Sebastian. Maybe he's on campus too. Okay. If he can just take some, maybe some of them. Okay, folks, welcome. What I want to do today, we have an exam on Monday, and I'll do a review, and then I'll stay with you as long as you need to answer any of your questions about your project. And thank you, Daniel, for staying with us. So I'm going to share my screen. And Daniel, you can help me in terms of what are the what you have for your project. Let's start like we always do of what's due. And on what's due, we had this, the final, we had the projects, we had the business analytics. We have the exam, which is on Monday, April 21st in person, uh, exam 2. And we also have on the 28th, a week from Monday, we're going to be doing our final project in-class presentation. So here are the assignments to do that. Let me start with the exam review guide, which is right here. And then we have the audit assignment instructions. This you should have done already. This is what some of you were checking. And this is, I'm just going to open this, Daniel, because just to review it. This is due the final project presentation to the professor. That is on Monday, April 28th. And oh, this is good, Daniel, that we're doing this because I can add a couple of things. So the last steps, please make sure VAPI number works and is able to respond to questions. We don't need to put here the last step and make sure that the fast spots work, Daniel.
Well, that would have been in the last assignment, but I can add it
Okay.
there too.
Yeah, just add it there too, because people, you remember,
Yeah,
fast spots had,
I'll change it.
yeah, change it. Please make sure VAPI numbers work and is able to respond to your question. And in this one, maybe works and it describes your company,
Mhm.
maybe, meaning works. What does it mean that works? Make sure that the number describes your company, describes your
Mhm.
company. And in this one, make sure the looks good on mobile as well. And also make sure your fast spots also describe your company. Okay. So how am I going to do the presentation? Basically, when we think about it, Finley, is when your project final is due on the time of the exam, but your presentation to me, I'm using to give you additional feedback. Rather than, Finley, you submitting your project and I said, you should have had, I don't like the coloring, or this back image is too dark, or it doesn't read well, this one paragraph. You said, well, if I knew that, we could have done that and we could have gotten, full credit. So this way, I'm going to be doing your presentation. You'll be doing a short presentation to me. I will go quite quickly through it. And since I'm going to go so quickly through it, I want each group to assign one person in your group to present in class for efficiency. So for instance, Quinn, I'll ask you decide who you want to present, and I'll be then quizzing, but the other people in the class need to be there, and the other people in the class need to take notes of what I am saying to you. You'll showcase all your pages of your website, and you'll screen share that. Basically, you'll also have a PowerPoint in the beginning, some kind of slideshow in the beginning, and then you'll basically show me everything about your website. And here's the list of it. Make sure you have all your videos, just like you were talking about. Ava showed that your FastSpot works, show your notebook LM, show your SEO dashboard, showcase your FastSpots dashboard under overview. And that is about it. The only thing I think you should tell them that they need a slide deck, no? Or you say that, oh, make a short PowerPoint or Google slide. Okay. Perfect. And make sure that also that your Google Slides, I'm able to read, because sometimes people make it secure, that it's unprotected. Any questions on that? We'll cover this on the Wednesday after the exam. We'll cover this to do. Okay. And that's it. And then you have one more where you will record, after you get the feedback, you will record in Zoom a final recording where all members in your group will do a final presentation together as a team. And you will upload that work, and you will go into more detail than you did with me. You also have a peer review, and your peer review has to be an honest peer review of what you've done for the group, peer review on how well your project was, giving an objective view, and also what you've done for the project, giving yourself an objective score, and each member of your group, how well they did, and an objective score. But we'll talk about that on Wednesday. So let's spend time on the review for the class. So this is the review for the class, right? Same format. I've talked about it before. These are the articles for the open-ended questions. One is cloud computing, one is machine learning, one is about artificial intelligence, generative AI, tracing your thoughts, and what is ERP. Remember, we talked about it. The multiple choice questions. Part of the test will be a review of the chapters we did before. You remember, in this case, Greta, we went over chapters 4 and 5. You remember all the risk we talked about? What's an exposure? What's a threat? What are the vulnerabilities? Does that come back to you? Kind of remembering all those that we're doing. And the idea of risk is there is always risk in having any type of information systems, right? There's always risk that we can inadvertently or advertently, unintentionally or intentionally, something can happen. So how exposed are you? How vulnerable are you? So you need to know, what are these definitions? What is the difference between it? What are the physical controls, access controls, virtual private network? And what do we want to do? We want to mitigate the risk. What does that mean? We want to lessen the risk. We're not saying we want to eliminate all risk. And how can we mitigate it as risk? Is sometimes we can even transfer the risk, like in insurance and others. Sometimes we can just say, you know what, Quinn, we want to just accept the risk. I have my PowerPoints here. I am going to accept the risk that somebody's going to take my PowerPoint. They're not worth much to me, so I accept that risk of what it is. Now, there's unintentional risk and deliberate risk. So if I ask you, Greta, what's an unintentional threat? What's unintentional mean?
Like it's not purposeful, like an accident.
Right, it's not on purpose, right? Unintentionally, I can do a lot of things. I didn't mean to do it, right? It just, I stepped on your toe. It wasn't like it was intentional. So unintentional threats, you can think about it, are like social engineering. You remember social engineering, that I schmoozed with you, Greta, and I'm Mabel, and you unintentionally are involved, right, in that of passing on information to me that it wasn't an intention to pass on your password or for me to get onto your machine. But I basically sat next to you and then basically said, that's all right. When you go to the restroom, I'll just leave your computer on. Don't worry about it. And then I go into your computer, right? Somebody gets your password. Oh, I need it. Don't worry about it. It's almost like the same thing. Remember when we had the security director come and he said that basically don't give your phone to anybody, you unintentionally give him the phone, right? He's social engineering and he's already put it on some bugs onto your phone or taking some information. Okay, this strategy, business continuity, right? The whole idea is data is the king. That's why I'm referring with the data governance. How do we take care of the data governance? What's a database report then? What is the database going to be doing? Is what do we want to minimize in a database? A lot of times when I think about it, redundancy, do I want to minimize redundancy in a database report approach? Ava.
I don't know.
Think about it. In a database, I want to be efficient. So if I have your address, do I want to have your address 20 times in a database approach, or do I just want to have it once when it's accurate?
Once.
So I want to minimize my database approaches. I want to minimize the redundancy, right? And so you need to know what types of things in a database approach do you want to maximize? What types of things do you want to minimize? Redundancy, I know that I don't want to have it several times. I want to maximize that people can share the data. I don't want to leave it that only one person, if it's for the university, can see certain information. And then we talked about cloud computing, right? And here we talked about, with the open-ended questions, we talked about infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So basically, if I ask you this, what's a good articles to go to is one is by Microsoft, where they go into what is cloud computing, the types of cloud computing, right? The benefits of cloud computing, right? Public, private, and an infrastructure, platform as a service, and software as a service. So Quinn, if we asked you this, between infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Quinn, if I ask, what is the most popular service here? Is it infrastructure, platform, or software? Quinn, it would be the same thing as what's most popular for you. What do you use all the time among these three? Quinn.
Is it software?
Software. Think about it. There's nothing that you don't use as software as a service, right? We're on Zoom. Is that software as a service? Quinn,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Okay, is Blackboard a software as a service?
Yeah.
Right. Is your email software as a service, right? Is your social media? All of these are software as a service. And basically, you're going to think about it this way. End users for sure use always software as a service. Almost everyone if they're using a phone or a computer, they always use software as a service. And basically, what does it mean? That software apps, we call them apps, right, are done what? Anything as a service is done what? Over the internet. That's basically what we think about it, cloud. And what does on demand mean, Quinn?
You can do it like right now.
I can do it anytime that you want, right? On demand is all the time, right? You do it all the time. I want to see in a movie, right? I don't have to go at 8 o'clock to see a movie because, I want to go eat or I want to go relax, right? I can do it whenever I want in terms of on-demand software on typically a subscription basis. And what's good about software as a service? Cloud providers then, for instance, Azure, Microsoft, Amazon, they host it. They provide it by hosting you and managing the software application. They take care of the underlying infrastructure. What do we mean by underlying infrastructure? We mean underlying infrastructure is all the hardware, all the operating systems. They handle any of the maintenance, they handle the upgrades, they handle security patches. I don't have to worry about that. And as an organization, if it was University of Miami and they decided to get Blackboard, they get Blackboard House, software as a service. They don't host it in their own computers on premises. They basically pay Blackboard to deliver that software. Clear, Quinn? Infrastructure is a service. Some companies that rent servers and virtual machines to do their own computing. So they're going to get servers and virtual machines. Virtual machines basically are computers that are basically software that to the computer looks like hardware, and then they will get the storage, the networks, and the operating system from a cloud provider on a pay-as-you-go. So these people that get infrastructure as a service and pay Amazon or pay Microsoft or pay Google say, hey, we want to have control, but we want to rent the hardware. Platform as a service can also be done, and that's usually if I have a group of programmers that want to develop apps for me, but they say, you know what, we don't want to deal with all the development costs. We want to just get the platform from Microsoft or Amazon, and they'll create it. So these are the ideas here. What else do they have here on Microsoft Computing? Frequently asked questions. What is a cloud? How much does it cost? Okay, and the same thing, Quinn, is Amazon does the same thing. So if I go back to Amazon in the very right, I see the same thing, what I need to know, right? What is cloud computer, are they copying each other? Of course they are. What is it? Exactly, Quinn. On demand. I can use it. So Greg, if we go into business together, you have such a great idea with your project. I want to be an investor, Greg. We'll go together. And I said, you know what? I don't want to buy a lot of hardware. We don't even know if anybody's going to like this. We love it, right? But we won't even get we haven't gotten a penny. So what we want to do is I say, let's not buy a bunch of hardware. Let's go, of course, cloud, and we'll pay as you go pricing. Instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers, servers, power, storage, what are we going to be doing is a lot of startups say, hey, we'll get an AWS account. And guess what? If it doesn't work out, Greg, I shake your hand, you shake my hand, we go together, and we're both not in so much in debt, right? And we don't have computers that we got to get rid of, right? And we have a bunch of personnel that had to take care of all our computers. So who uses it? They tell you what are the benefits. You can go through that. What does elastic mean? It basically, Greg, that we can stretch over time. Sometimes we don't have to say, oh, we want to get 10 computers and buy them. This way we can be elastic. If we have demand, we'll get more services. That's what it means. And if not, we can shrink. Cost savings, deploy in minutes. And this is infrastructure as computing, just the same thing. Platform, just as a software. And here it has the innovation. And what they are, what are managed services. Basically, what are cloud managed services? They manage all the background, right? We take care of our customers, right, Greg? That's what we need to do. We update our social media. We take care of making sure that it's the correct information. We take care of meeting with our clients. And examples, notice here, it's example, you can use it to use for databases. You can use it for artificial intelligence and machine learning. So AI, access to comprehensive, secure AI infrastructure, right? So what is great about AI infrastructure, Greg? Interactive chatbots, have we looked at that? Virtual assistants, conversational predictive analysis, agent assistance. We can do code generation, automated reports, accelerate process with language processing, natural language, image recognition, and we can learn about network, secure identity, learn more about it. And that's like a commercial. Okay. We have something that we talk about, a data warehouse and a data mart. So if I look at it, Ryan, I talk about data, right? I have live data. A lot of times I have big data. What is big data? Ryan, big data is data that, for instance, is real time that I'm going to do some predictions on. So if I think about the stock market, tickers, right? Did you look at, Ryan, have you heard about what's going on with the stock market lately? What's going on?
Yeah, it crashed after the tariffs.
What?
Went back up.
Can you repeat it?
It went down.
It just went down, and sometimes it
after
went
the
up. A
tariffs,
lot of
and it
times
went back up.
it seems like it's going down more than it's going up, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is, are people still trading, you think?
Yeah,
Why would they trade when it goes down?
it's cheaper to invest now.
Or it may be cheaper to invest now, or maybe like a falling knife. Have you ever heard of a falling knife? It'll be cheaper tomorrow. So sometimes people are guessing to invest. Sometimes people are thinking, I'm going to bet that's going short. Whatever they're doing, it basically, if I have a lot of big data, if I think about, if I have a lot of big data systems, they're going to be performing well because they contain huge amounts of data on which to base their predictions. So that's going to be on my big data. My data warehouse is going to be, in this case, Max, historical or real time. My data warehouse. Max. Does Max hear me? Okay, Luke, is data warehouse, is it historical or is it real time?
Historical, I believe.
It's historical. Is it volatile or is it non-volatile?
Non-volatile?
Non-volatile. Now you say with conviction. Non-volatile
Non-volatile.
because it's historical because what? Users can't change the data. Right? Does that make sense to you? Rather than guessing, right? We can guess in class, but on the exam, we want to have more confidence. So in this case, that a data warehouse is always going to be non-volatile. It's always going to be what? It's always going to be historical. And then I'm going to set it up in subject areas. So I could have a data warehouse, let's say on students at the university, right? I can put a data warehouse on the past, right? Not on the future, not on real time, right? On the past. And then I could do different, it could be subject based on the school of business, maybe one, based on the law school, maybe another one could be based on communications, nursing. I have data warehouses, and then I could do a data mart. This is by subject area, a data mart that is specific. So I could do a data mart that's smaller. A data mart, then, you think about it, Luke, is a subset of a data warehouse. And there I can do specific hypothesis testing on a data mart. Same type of data, even taking it, but smaller. And then we talked about security, right? And you remember this case, Lily? Remember, were you here last time that we talked about business analytics?
I
Yes?
think so.
Okay. So in business analytics, we basically talk about descriptive analytics, which was what? Past or present or future? Descriptive.
Is it present?
Well, it's basically the past, right? The present, your present grade point average, but it's basically based on data from the past, right? Your descriptive, if I have a descriptive statistics where I have all your scores, right? All your grades, right? You have your own grades, right? And you descriptively, you have an average of how well you've done in the class. You got me, Lily? Predictive was based on what you've done, and based on what all my students have done, I can predict possibly how well they'll do in the future. Will it be always 100% correct? No, right? Some issues, right? You may do better than what you've done in the past, right? Maybe. But once I know predictive, the question is, what I want to is prescriptive. Meaning, what should you do? You know already what you've done in the test, right? Now, what predictive means is you want to get, what grade do you want? Lily, what is your ideal grade for
An
this
A.
course? An A. You want an A, right? And let's say you have a B plus. Let's just say, right? And you say, okay, what should I do now, my prescriptive, to earn an A? And it may be, well, you better do your project well, because that's going to be 25% of the grade. Or maybe you should now study more. You should go over the quizzes more. Or maybe you should go through these sample questions more. And in this case, now I understand IAS and PAS, and now I can have one rule. I know what cloud computing is. I can explain those four. And now I have generative AI, and how does it differ from machine learning? So I have to figure out in machine learning, what's the difference? Machine learning from generative AI. In generative AI, I know what? Is it creating something new, or something that's done in the past? What is great about generative AI? Were you here when we had the musician? Lily? The class that night, we had the musician. Were you here?
No, I
chance?
was not.
Okay, we had a musician come in and he created music. Frank told him coffee. Frank said that there's coffee, and guess what? Somebody came up and he created a song. So that's generative AI. It didn't exist. Were you here, Juan? Manuel, when they had it, right? Have you ever played around with that type of software? Juan?
No, I haven't.
You're right, but you can see that even if you're not a musician, you can create something, right? As a musician, though, it's creating something new. It may not be even correct, but it can create, so it can generate new concept versus machine learning. Machine learning is based on data that you give it and that you train it and it improves. You understand that one? So you can put it in your notes there. Machine learning then is based on data that a human basically feeds it and it improves. So what machine learning really does well, Juan, is it recognizes patterns and relationships. So for instance, like what is it really good in machine learning? It's really good in radiology. Have you ever seen radiologists? What do? They basically look at x-rays. They're trained on it. But what you do then for a lot of radiology now is one of the most prominent ones to go to AI for machine learning, because what do? We train it by, we know what was an x-ray that had a tumor that was malignant, and we know an x-ray after the fact that we can see it looks like some spot there, but it really is non-malignant. So they feed it into the machine or into the computer, and basically when it makes mistakes, it basically tries to tell the machine, wait a minute, you made a mistake here. This should be in the malignant pile. This one should be in what? The non-malignant pile. And it keeps on learning and it keeps on getting smarter. So what it does is it's really good in recognizing patterns. And many times in recognizing patterns, it can be done better than a novice could or a young radiologist. And they're getting better on that. And then generative AI was used in your project. You can do that. Okay. And then you have some other articles here that you this isn't what is AI, this is in what is, for instance, let's open a new tab. What is machine learning? It's all based. It can learn from data. You see that, Juan? It can identify patterns and make decisions with minimal human intervention once you're training. So basically, how this is different, you see here, it was born from pattern recognition. And computers can learn without being programmed after a while. So basically, what are they doing? Essence of machine learning, where is it used? Google cars, online recommendations, from Amazon and Netflix. If you like this book, if you like this movie, machine learning for everyday life, fraud detection, again, patterns, credit card detection. Anybody ever have someone ever call you from a credit card company and say you have suspicious activity? That ever happened to anybody? They call and why would they call you? Why do you think, Luke, they would call you?
They called me when I was in Europe.
Okay. Why?
I'm assuming because they didn't know if it was stolen and taken to Europe.
And what was the key there? Your pattern. How many times you go to Europe? You go to Europe every week?
No,
How many, was that your first trip to Europe?
no, but like yearly, I'd say.
Yearly, right? But you don't do it. So what did it good? It took a number, you know how it does with the credit card information? They use machine learning perfectly. What do? They take a number of transactions that are suspicious, but turned out when they called Luke and another 10,000 people, it wasn't fraud. Then they take, let's say, another 10,000 or another million transactions that were fraudulent, and they train the computers to point out, first tell them what they are. These are fraudulent, these are non-fraudulent. Then they even train them by them basically see how well they do without putting it into bundles, and then keep on improving it. So when they call you, Luke, based on a pattern, that when they're in Europe, because I even had one time they called me and it was from, they called me and it was that I had something on my credit card that said RU. You know what RU is? Instead of dollars, it was rubles. I have never been to Russia. I don't plan to go to Russia. I've been other parts of the world, right? And they basically knew as soon as I said, I have something as RU, you know what they did? They shut down my card right away, right? They didn't even check, you know. So they basically see patterns. Sometimes when I go to on a trip, and even in the United States, at that time it was before Uber so prevalent. So I didn't take an Uber and I rented a car. And you know, at the end you fill up and it's like $4 or something. Well, that's unusual. I never fill up my car for $4, right? So it basically takes those patterns, you know, or I buy an ice cream, you know, for, you know, $5 or something at a place that I never use. So these are kind of patterns for machine learning. You see how they are for improving. The credit card companies do that for years. Why do they do it? Well, why do they? Because they are responsible. When there's fraud, I don't have to pay, right? They have to foot the bill. Somebody has to foot the bill, but not me, right? So that's why it's important for them to do it. What is it? Patterns. And what do? We train those patterns to happen. What else, Quinn? Did that help?
Yeah, that definitely helped.
Yeah. What else?
I think you pretty much covered everything I had questions about.
Yeah. What else? Anybody else? So that's it. That's how would I study? Like first of all, if you've done really well for the first exam, you know what to do, right? If you didn't do as well as you wanted to, what you would do, it seems like go over the quizzes, right? That you have access to. Go over the PowerPoint, make sure you go on that list and make sure that you go over all the concepts, so you know all the concepts on those lists, and you go over all those questions. And then you can, if you want to, you can make yourself a notebook, LM, right, Ellie? That when you walk around, you don't want to be sitting. I always, do something when you walk, you can listen to it, but you decide how you want to do it. This for the second exam, Daniel, I mentioned maybe we should have them do notebook LM. I said, you guys know how to do notebook LM. If it helps you, fine, do it. If it doesn't help you, right, why we don't have to make an assignment. At least everybody knows how it should be done. Okay, what else? I think we're finished here. So,
Would you like me to do the,
yeah, I'll promote you. Yeah, the first time, huh?
I know,
Right. And Daniel will be here with me a few minutes in case there's any questions. But Daniel will go for the attendance. And then we can I'll get to see everybody on Monday. right? And then if you need special time or something, you can let me know. Otherwise, what's nice is since we're the last class, we don't have to worry about anybody kicking us out of the room. So you can state it. And stay with me if you have questions.
Is there a code for attendance?
It's in chat. It's 1116.
Daniel, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Greta put in a domain name
Wow.
that isn't a good domain name, and she cannot, as herself, without paying for a new domain name.
Yep.
Do you think it's better for her to be demoting and just take a better name with a Wix site, or just leave it the way it is?
What, group 4? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I did it.
I'd
Yeah,
probably just leave it as is.
yeah, I did
I mean,
it
you know how to
early.
do it, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
she
know how
knows
to.
how to do
I
it,
mean,
but
I did it, but like,
yeah, I
and then
know it's a
we tried
shame. That's all.
and I know, and we tried to get like my group members also tried to do it, but it wasn't working for them. And for me, it was like I tried. Dr. Rush sent me a link to see if I could change. It was like the site URL, but the domain name stayed the same. So I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else I can do on that front because
no.
it's gonna make me
Yeah.
pay if I was gonna
No,
change.
I
I
don't want you to
mean,
pay. Oh,
I-
you know what else we should do, Daniel? Remind
Sure.
me, is I got from another student last semester, she just sent it to me. She got charged $400
Uh-oh.
from last semester because they forgot to do the not to
I should post an announcement at the end.
yes. You know, at least and
Yeah.
show them that they need to check it. Because even though you posted it,
I'm sure if you email them, they can do a refund.
well, I told her, I gave her Ellery's
Yeah.
no, but you don't want
So-
to, and I've had that as a student before, but you don't want to go through that, you know. But
Yeah.
anyways,
So Dr.
Oh,
Rush, I
leave
know
it.
it's not ideal, but should I just keep the domain name?
Just keep it.
Okay, because if I was gonna put it as our company name and I did
But
it.
you know what? But put another company name, but use that as your domain name. So like on your website, put a good company name.
Yeah, on the website we have our company name, but it's
Yeah,
just like
right,
the
right.
specific
Okay, we know that
URL
there's a
that comes
mistake.
up.
Those are issues.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay.
For some
so-
reason, when I click on the image tutor bot, it says
Yeah.
we're having trouble finding that site, like on your website itself.
Which one? Like the
Like the actual image of the logo.
yeah.
I don't know why if I click that, it doesn't
Oh,
load
I
it.
actually I don't know why that's not supposed to go anywhere.
Yeah, probably just remove the